Welcome to Veterans Perspectives. This is Jeff, your host, author of the newsletter slash podcast slash general idiot veteran, disabled veteran. Today's topic is going to be on parenting. Now, I want to be clear because I know we talk about parenting quite a bit on this podcast. I'm not here to tell anyone how to parent. I'm here to give my ideas about parenting and some of my practices on how I parent. Okay, I've had some comments are like, who are you to tell me how to parent? I'm no one to tell you how to parent. I'm not a perfect dad, okay? But I'm a dad who's present and I have ideas on how to parent. I also bring in my experiences from my time in the classroom dealing with students who didn't have a lot of emotional connections in the home from their parents. And that plays a lot into my ideas. I also didn't have a lot of those connections with my own parents who were kind of crappy. Okay. So I want to be clear about that before we get started today. Uh, that I'm not here to tell anyone how to parent. These are my ideas about parenting, and you could agree with them or you could disagree with them. Just leave your ideas down in the comment. Be respectful, or as respectful as you can, because this is the internet, right? But I want to make that perfectly clear. Our sponsor, as you know, for these videos is our Etsy store, jkprincegifts.etsy.com. I'll leave the link down in the description. We have t-shirts, sweatshirts, mugs, teacher templates, student templates that I and my wife make. She's a current teacher. I'm a former teacher. We focus on positive mental health, even sarcastic mental health as well, for some humor, and veteran support as well. All of the profits go directly to us. Obviously, we come up with the designs. We use a print-on-demand company called Gelato because we can't afford to hold on to all that inventory. They print the products and ship it out to our customers. So that's just me being transparent with you guys. The templates are digital downloads that my wife and I make using a variety of different products, including Canva, a Canva and Adobe as well, that we make together using our expertise. So please check out our Etsy store. The link will be down in the description wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast. Please check it out and thank you for your support. Today's podcast comes directly from the newsletter blog that came out today, the 6th of May, titled The Soft Target Generation: Why Genuine Happiness Requires Friction. Okay, that is the title. All right. We are confusing comfort with joy. Okay. If you want your children to be truly happy in a brutal world, and we know this world is brutal for a variety of different reasons, you have to forge them into resilient adults. Happiness is earned, it is not assigned. We all want our kids to be happy, but we have to teach what that happiness is and how to attain it. Okay? So, as you guys know, I live in Arizona. Jeff and AZ81 is my handle on everything, right? If you want to watch my live streams, go to Kick, Twitch, Rumble, YouTube, Jeff and AZ81 on all of them, okay? Okay. I have three kids, right? I have a 16-year-old, I have a 14-year-old, and I have a soon to be 13-year-old, right? My oldest and my youngest are daughters. My son is in the middle, okay? So I have three almost, I have three teenagers. One of them's almost a teenager. Okay. I look at the current educational social landscape, and it's a current disaster and a looming disaster. And you could say, oh, well, that's just you being an alarmist. Yeah, it is. But guess what? I'm a dad. I'm a natural alarm. Most dads are alarmists. So we're currently raising a generation of teenagers who are conditioned to believe that life should be frictionless, that they're afraid of internal conflict. They're afraid of any form of discomfort to their norm, because that means they think they can't function. That if they're unhappy in any way, they think that they can't function. High schools have eliminated zero grades, or even if they get a zero, teachers are mistreated and and non-valued so much that academic leadership comes to teachers at the end of the school year, especially for seniors, if you teach seniors, and says, hey, what can we do to make sure this kid passes? And some of my admin friends are going to try to deny this. Don't do that, because you know you're wrong. Because you know you're wrong. You may not do it, but it happens way too much for it to be ignored, right? And my teachers know that you have admin coming to you all the time. Well, can we make sure that this kid passes this class in some way? Can they make up the work that they didn't do when they were told to do the work? That's wild to me. And it will always be wild, because it's an unrealistic expectation for the real world. Because if you do that shit at work, you're going to get fired. But hey, lie on your mission statements, admin, and say that you're preparing students to enter the workforce and into the real world. But we all know those mission statements are just objectives on the wall to tick a box, and they have no real meaning behind them, right? Yeah. We have sports leagues where everyone gets a trophy regardless of score. I will give a caveat to that one. In high school sports, that is changing. That is changing. They don't hand everyone a trophy in some high school sports, at least here in Arizona. Uh, youth sports are a little different. I think because parents pay, they expect their kids to get a trophy. And a lot of that part, I'm not blaming kids for this, by the way, because you can't blame children for this, right? It's just like why schools are fucked up. People want to blame kids. You can't blame kids, guys. You cannot blame kids. They are children. You blame the adults around them. Adults created these conditions, and only adults can fix these conditions. We have a digital ecosystem that provides instant dopamine, instant validation, instant distraction at the swipe of a thumb. Look, I'm a social media guy, right? I love doom scrolling as much as the next guy, right? But that instant gratification to a teenage brain is very different than to a 44-year-old brain, like mine, because I'm old, okay? The intent behind all of this is usually good, okay? The intent is usually good. The execution and the little tweaks are usually bullshit. Okay? Parents and teachers, we want kids to be happy, right? We want to shield them from the anxiety and the pain that we all experience growing up. It's fair. It's a fair argument. But for me, who experienced these things as much as the next person, and as someone who's a veteran who's seen combat, who dealt with all that, this is a recipe for a catastrophic failure, right? That we've seen, right? Because I hear all the time, oh, the current generation is the laziest generation ever. Every generation says that about the generation in front of them, right? I mean, hell, they said that about me. I was born in 1981. Apparently, I'm a millennial, even though I identify a little bit more with the Gen X side of things because I'm an older millennial, right? Uh, Boomers said that about Gen X. The greatest generation said that about boomers. Oh, your rock and roll music, right? Your cars, blah, 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 blah. Every generation thinks that the generation in front of them is a lazy piece of shit. So stop doing that. Oh, your generation is ruining America. Every generation has said that about the generation in front of them. Every single one. So stop doing that because it's dumb. It's literally, it's a lazy argument. It's lazy. The real world is not a safe space. There are no safe spaces in the real world. Okay. The real world doesn't care about your self-esteem. It doesn't care about your kid's self-esteem. It just doesn't. When we remove every obstacle from a teenager's path in the name of keeping them happy, this is what I wrote in the blog, we're actually robbing them of the exact tools they need to secure genuine lifelong joy, to learn how to sustain as a human being, right? And I'm not saying as a parent, be a dick, right? I'm not saying as a parent, put so many obstacles in front of your kid that they are insured to fail, because that's also not how the real world works, right? There are ways to success, but we have to, as a parent and as parents, say, hey, you failed because you made these choices, not you failed because other people made choices. That's part of the problem. And my teacher friends know this probably more than any other group who's listening to this right now, all 10 people who are going to listen to this. they Teachers hear it all the time from parents. And parents, you're one of the biggest culprits here. When a kid gets a failing grade, who do you blame? It's not your kid. You blame the teacher. That's part of the problem. You remove the internal obstacle of self-blame. Like, oh, you got a failing grade because you chose to stay up late and play video games and not do your homework or not work on your science fair project? Damn, that sucks. Instead, we say, well, what could they do to make it up? Me as a teacher, I used to say, I don't do extra credit, I do the credit that you're supposed to do. And I used to get shit for it, and I didn't care. But I have the disposition of someone who can look my leadership in the eye and say, yeah, I don't care. They're not going to make that up because there is no legitimate excuse as to why they didn't do it. A lot of teachers aren't like that. They're just not. A lot of teachers don't look like me, walk like me, talk like me. They just don't. Hell, I was told by leadership my entire career, Jeff, you're different. It's probably because I'm weird. But I also didn't break and bend in that way. And that comes from my veteran background, where if you fucked up and you paid the price. So there's a massive difference between cheap comfort and deep happiness. The modern teenager's brain is being rewired by algorithms designed to maximize engagement, right? And deliver cheap comfort. Right? And again, that's different for the teenage brain than it is for the adult brain. Like, everything is instant. Hell, it used to happen to me all the time. And teachers, again, speaking directly to you, a kid hands you a paper that they just finished. What's my grade now? And you look at the kid and go, I don't know. I still have to read it and grade it. Well, what's my grade now? Again, I don't know. I still have to read it and grade it. And they do not understand that because their brains have been rewired for the instant. If they're bored, they scroll. If they're hungry, they order. If they're confused, they ask AI for a summary. And I like AI. If they have a social conflict, they block the person and retreat to a digital echo chamber. You can't block people in the real world. Well, in some ways you can. You could block people on social media. And I think that's a good thing, by the way. The constant stream of instant gratification atrophies the prefrontal cortex. It changes the brain. This is science. Okay? Research has shown this. Okay? I'm not a scientist. I'm a social scientist, a soft science, right? But through my research, this is the conclusion that I drew. It destroys the ability to practice delayed gratification. Hard work pays off later, right? And this is where parents come into play. As parents, we want to swoop in and solve every problem for our kids. We want our kids to be happy. And sometimes that's good and sometimes that's needed, right? When bullying occurs, whether it's your kid doing it or it's being done to your kid, that's swoop in. Handle that shit, right? But sometimes you have to let your kids struggle a little bit. Hell, my youngest daughter the other day, she was homesick, but she brought me her math homework. And she said, Dad, how do I do this? And I said, Well, did you read it? She said, No. And I said, Okay, read it first. Read it to me. And I made her read it to me. I said, Okay, how do you think we do it? And she was able to explain to me mostly how it was done. She missed a couple things, and then we talked about it, and then I helped her. I made her struggle a little bit. That's delayed gratification. I'm not talking years in delay or months in delay, just a couple minutes, right? I could have taken that math homework and said, This is how you do it, blah, 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 and done it for her. No, stop doing that. Stop it. Sometimes our kids have issues with teachers that are minute. Oh, Dad, my teacher gave me a bad grade on an essay. Well, did you talk to your teacher about it? No. Okay, well, I'm not going to do it. I didn't write the fucking essay. Talk to your teacher about it. I don't know what to say. Okay, now I can help you. Now I can help you. If you don't know what to say, that's different than I'm not going to talk to them. Then I don't want to hear about your problem. When we do this, when we jump in and just solve the problem for them and not let them experience it and experience finding the solution, we're actually delivering an internal narcotic. Like, oh, this will just be fixed for me right away. We're teaching the child that they are entirely dependent on external forces to feel good, that I can't make myself feel good. I need everything else externally to make me feel good and happy. If your kid never has to struggle to find an answer, they will never experience the massive rush of pride that comes from solving a truly difficult problem. Back to my youngest daughter, when she was done with her math homework, she brought it back to me. Hey, Dad, I finished this. Cool. Awesome. Glad we talked about it. You did it, not me. If they never have to experience a boring Saturday, man, my kids know better than to tell me they're bored. They know better. Dad, I'm bored. Cool. Clean something. Yeah, I'll find something for you to fucking do. And we're pretty open as parents, right? You know, I know, and y'all probably get a lot of shit for this. I don't care about screen time because my kids do their work at school. They're passing their classes. They try their best at school. We're in communication with their teachers. That's our role as parents to ensure that's happening, right? So on the weekends, my kids have free reign to play video games, stay up late, except for on Sunday night. Sunday night, they have their normal bedtime because they got school on Monday. Uh, Hell, even during the week, they could be on their tablets. That's where they watch TV, is on their tablets mostly. But they get turned off when it's time for bed. Pretty simple rules, right? My oldest daughter, my 16-year-old, is the only one with a cell phone. They don't get cell phones until they are freshmen in high school. That's how we do it in my house. Those are our rules. Pretty simple. Pretty simple. But you can't insulate a child into happiness. You have to create a foundation of absolute confidence that they can solve their own problems. So think about your own life. This is the architecture, this is the architecture, if I could talk today, of genuine joy. So think about your own life as an individual. Your proudest, happiest moments were not the moments where you were sitting on the couch being catered to. Sitting on the couch being catered to is nice sometimes, right? It's nice. Your happiest moments were the moments immediately following a massive struggle. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. It's the moment you crossed the finish line, finished your degree, completed a huge project at work that you worked your ass off on and got credit for. The moment you finally closed the deal after weeks of grinding, putting together presentations, working with coworkers maybe, or by yourself. It was the day you held your newborn child after months of anxiety and preparation. I know for me, I don't cry a lot. My kids know this, and my wife knows this. I've cried very few times in my life. One of them was just the other day. Our dog of 14 years, we had to put down. She was old. She passed on of old age. So we had to send her on to the Rainbow Bridge. And I cried. And my oldest daughter was like, Dad, I can't remember the last time you cried. And then my youngest daughter was like, Dad, your eyes turn so blue when you cry. Because I don't cry a lot. I just don't. But I cried when all three of my kids were born. And my wife did all the work. I was just there, But we had planned and prepped. Like once we found out she was pregnant all three times, none of which were planned, by the way. But like we put together the house, we get the clothes, the diapers, we do all the things as parents, and then all of a sudden this little thing is there, and you're responsible for it all of a sudden, and it's a big moment, right? And it just creates that moment of happiness. It's a reward of struggle. Like you struggled, and then here it is. Here it is. So if we want our 16-year-old, our 14-year-old, and our 12-year-old, soon to be 13, to be genuinely happy adults, we have to teach them how to navigate the storm. We have to prove to them that they're capable. They always know they can come to us. This isn't about shutting them off of and from us as parents. This is about proving to them that they're capable of solving their own problems. A child who knows they can fix a broken engine, write a complex argument, or recover from a devastating loss on an athletic field is a child who walks through the world with unshakable confidence. The confidence is the bedrock of happiness. The fragile person is always living in fear of the next disruption. Now, are we going to know how to solve every problem? No. And it's okay to ask for help. That's why, as parents, hey, come here. Could always talk to me. Right? But they know they could solve some things right now. They're not going to know everything. I don't know everything, and I'm 44 years old. But I don't want them living in fear. I do not want fragile children, fragile young adults, and then fragile adults. Because the world doesn't care if you're fragile. In fact, the world will take advantage of you if you're fragile. A resilient person welcomes the disruption because they know they have the tools to beat it. So how do we fix this a little bit? And this goes for parents, teachers, anyone who is in contact with young people in the capacity of working with them. Reintroducing, this is part of the solution here, by the way, reintroducing controlled friction. Your job as a parent is to be the primary instructor in the school of resilience. You have to be the one who intentionally places obstacles in their path so they can learn how to climb over them. Now, I'm not saying be a dick about it, but teach them how to feel the victory and build their joy. In my house, we focus on 3 pillars of friction to build that architecture. Physical discipline. Okay, sports. My oldest plays sports. They're about the grind. Sometimes my kid doesn't want to go to practice, and I look at her, because she talks about wanting to be this 3-sport athlete, which she is, and being a star. And I say, stars don't skip practice, right? You're not Allen Iverson. right? And then I showed her the old AI clip of him talking about practice, right? Right? And she does track and field, which is in the fourth quarter. The season just finished, and it's 100+ degrees outside during practice. Dad, it's so hot. I don't care. Did you sign up for it? Did you commit to your team? Did you commit to yourself that you want to be the best shot put, discus, javelin thrower? Yeah. Get your ass out to practice. That's the obstacle. Sometimes she loses a game and she's hard on herself. She's just like me. She's hard on herself. How do we work through that? How do we build internal confidence? How do we look at, they had a rough season record wise last year, right? It did not make the playoffs, but she had a hell of a season individually. But she's more prone to the team aspect than looking at individual numbers. But we had to sit her down and say, you have to look at this because she's in the middle of being recruited and they look at individual stuff. And she was first team all region. And we had to, hey, look, this is important. This is why you were voted by the other coaches in the region as one of the 7 best girls in the region. Oh, okay. The obstacle was getting her to look at herself, which is hard for a 16-year-old girl sometimes, right? Intellectual accountability. We do not accept lazy answers in this house. I don't know is not a answer. It's just not. Forcing your kids to read primary sources if they have political or social opinions, we challenge it. Right? I wrote in the blog, challenge it at the dinner table. We don't really have a dinner table in my house. We eat together, but we eat wherever. Like we'll eat in the loft, we eat in the bedroom together, watch TV as a family. That's just what we do in my house. But my daughter, like I keep bringing up my oldest daughter because she's the one that does all this stuff, but sometimes my son too, they'll say something or they'll make an opinion. And I taught government and social studies for so long, and I have a master's degree in political science, and then I say, well, how come you think that way? Or what's your proof? And my son, because he's 14, he's in the 8th grade, he's not ready for that type of conversation yet because I don't think his frontal cortex is there yet. But my 16-year-old will go at it with me. She likes to debate. She's dad. She's my mini me. But she'll go at it with me. And so we have that challenge intellectually that, hey, you need to prove your argument. And if you don't, then it's not really an argument. So it creates that sharp mind. I talked earlier about this third one, digital boundaries. Now, we're pretty loose with our boundaries, but they're still boundaries, right? Technology is a tool, but for a teenager, it can be a pacifier for some of them. This is where, as parents, you have to know your kids. Where are they at on social media, right? We just let my son have a Discord, but he had to add me to Discord. I see everything he does on Discord because he plays video games. He's in Discord with his friends, but I see where he's at all times. My oldest daughter is on social media, right? She's on Instagram mostly and TikTok, but most of it is for her basketball stuff. Some of it's personal, right? But it's friends only. And mom and dad follow her and we comment on her stuff. Her friends know who we are. Those are the boundaries we set, right? Once it's bedtime, the screens are off for the most part. For the most part, if you can't fall asleep and you're watching something on your tablet, okay, fine. We're not going to scream and yell about that stuff. That just doesn't work for our kids. Okay, again, this is where you as a parent have to know your kids. Talk to them. It's okay to talk to them. It's not a punishment. You're starving them of cheap dopamine sometimes, and to recognize and appreciate actual quiet joy. Sometimes they need that peace and quiet. So the sheepdog protocol. A couple weeks ago, we had one of our blog posts was called the sheepdog protocol. Okay, the safety of our children. Okay. A child living in fear cannot be a happy child. In a world that is increasingly digital and isolated, our kids are being targeted by predators. We know this. There are manipulators who operate in the shadows. Okay? We do not live, my wife and I do not live in a world as we want it to be. We live in the world as it is, and these are the realities. We have to teach our kids to trust their internal alarm systems. In the military, we called it situational awareness. Know what's going on around you. If a situation feels wrong, it is wrong. Say something, get loud, get the fuck out. We have to give our children the absolute permission to be difficult if their gut check goes off. A nice kid is a vulnerable kid. If your kid gets a bad vibe from an adult, they could be a dick to that adult. And then they could tell dad, hey, dad, that guy was being weird. And then dad goes, where the fuck is that guy? We definitely want to raise kids who are respectful, but who also, who also possess the internal steel to say no with overwhelming force when their boundaries are crossed. When a teenager knows they have the absolute authority and your total backing as their parent to defend themselves, they can navigate the world without living in a constant state of anxiety. Not all adults have their best interest at heart. Period. The end state, conclusion. This has gone on long enough. Actually, this has been really good. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. And I've done all of this in one take. The end state. The goal of parenting is absolutely to create a happy child, a functional child, a child that has hopes, dreams, goals, and will work to attain them, right? But you must recognize that you cannot hand them happiness on a silver platter. Okay? If you try to give them a frictionless life, you will send them into the real world completely unarmed and unprepared to function. The world will eventually break them. And they will spend their adulthood angry, confused, and miserable. And we don't want that. You build a happy child by forging them into highly capable, disciplined, and resilient adults. You give them the tools, the grit, the moral compass to navigate a brutal economy and a chaotic culture. You let them struggle under your roof, struggle with parameters. That's a good way to put that. Struggle with parameters. So they can conquer the world when they leave your roof. Happiness is not a gift, it's a victory. Make sure your kids know how to win. Leave your comments and your thoughts down below. Make sure you guys check out the blog on Substack. I'll leave the link in the description, and the Etsy store. Again, leave the link down in the description. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time on Veterans Perspective. Thank you, guys.